Perfect. So before we really go into the details of self-defense, the technical definition that we'd like to go over is it's a defense of a person's interest or person, especially through the use of physical force, which is permitted in certain cases as an answer to a charge of violent crime. So really the points that we really want to go over here is that it's a defense of one's person or interest. So remember that in self-defense, you're not wanting to throw the first punch. You're always trying to react to what someone else is doing. And it's always defending yourself or someone you love. Try to avoid defending things like physical objects like a purse, a bag, things like that. Second thing we want to go over is that this is the use of physical force is always an answer, but it should not always be the first answer. We'll be going over today a little bit about how we can go over different verbal ways or body languages to help de-escalate a situation before we actually have to use any physical force. But before we go into like the nitty gritty of today's lesson, we'll be going over the lesson plan, which is just some general tips about some self-defense points, how to avoid and de-escalate situations, and then some practical use techniques. For this part right now, you guys can keep your cameras off if you'd like to, or you can keep it on, whichever one you prefer. But when we get to the practical use part, I'd like everyone to turn the camera on so we can watch you guys and make sure everyone's on track. Okay, so some general tips that we'll start off with is that the first one is always trust your gut. We'll be saying this a lot throughout the day, but really remember if you're in danger or you feel that you are in danger, then you most likely are in danger. So your body automatically can tell you if something is wrong. So listen to your body because it's always better to be safe than sorry. So that's the first point is always trust your gut. The second thing we like to say is try to de-escalate a bad situation with your words before you use any fists. So we'll talk a little bit more later on how to do this directly, but just remember that always try to use your words to make any situation go down first, because once you actually use physical force, it's only going to get worse. Three is use confident body language. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about how to use your body language to de-escalate a situation, but just remember that keep your chin up, keep your chest up, and always show that you're confident. Four is stay in a group. So this just means really just if you're going in a place you don't really know, go with a friend, go with some buddies. Make sure people know where you're going. So maybe tell your parents, tell a friend, say you're going somewhere. It's really important that people know where you are or that you're with people. And then the fifth one is again, avoid risky situations. So this can mean like alleys, dark areas, parking lots, or even could be just like parties. If you don't know anyone at a party you're going to, then it's probably not the best situation to go to. So make sure again, go with people you know, and also bring a cell phone. This is the sixth tip is to use your cell phone as a tool. So keep your phone charged, bring a battery pack, make sure people know where you're going, have a phone number handy that you can call right away. Your cell phone's a really big tool. Everyone usually has a cell phone nowadays. So make sure you use it. Always have it handy and things like that. Seven is avoid oversharing on social media. I think as teenagers, a lot of us obviously share a lot on social media. We post a ton of like many times a day. So just be responsible, be diligent that people can take note of your daily locations of and what you're posting. So just be careful about what you're sharing to others. And then finally, just take a self-defense class. So this workshop is really just an overview of different points that we'll be going over. And it's a good tool to have in your back pocket, but a little more detailed like classes or actually martial art classes can easily help you learn a little bit more and be a little more safe later on.
And next, we have just a couple things to keep in mind, some things to be aware of. First thing is to always be conscious where you are walking or sitting or even standing, right? We don't want to be caught off guard. So we want to avoid using our cell phone and searching through like our backpack or our purse when we're walking on the street. We shouldn't sit idle in our car for a long period of time. So like once you get in your car, just take off. Don't sit in it for a long period of time, just idle. Take note of the cars parked next to yours and enter through the passenger side if you have to. So if you're parked next to a big van or like some suspicious vehicle, make sure you're careful. And if you really would like to, you can go back into the mall if you're coming from the mall and tell a security guard to escort you out. That would be the most safe way to do so. And if you see any odd behavior, don't dismiss it. Go with your instincts, right? If someone's looking at you weird, telling something that you shouldn't be hearing, right? You should report it and just walk away from that person. If someone asks you for your wallet, do not hand it to them. Chances are you should toss it away from you. If they are more interested in your wallet, they will pursue it and give you a chance to run in the other direction. And if you think you're being followed, look that person in the face, ask them a question, like make some small talk, like ask them, "Oh, how's the weather today?" Like, "Oh, where are you going next?" And so this discourages them from doing anything, since you can identify them now and you've seen what they look like. And if someone is like approaching you dangerously, hold out your hands in front of you and yell, "Stop" or "Stay back." And just be conscious of what you're wearing. Loose clothing is a little bit um, like an easier thing to grab sometimes. Long hairstyles and ponytails are easier to grab. So this doesn't mean you have to cut your hair short or anything. Just be aware that these are some things that could happen, some things to keep in mind.
Yeah, so I think those are some great general tips that you guys should keep in mind. Again, if you guys ever need to like have any questions, just unmute, let us know because we'll stop where we are and we can give you any more advice on these points. But now we'll move on to some more like specific tips about how to de-escalate a situation or how to really diagnose what's going on. So the first point is FHF tip, which means face, hands, face. So this basically means that when you're approaching someone on a street or if they're approaching you, then what you first want to do is check their face, then check their hands, and then check their face again. So you first check their face to check their intent. So if they're wearing a hood, as you can see in the image here, if they're wearing a ski mask, or if they just look nervous or angry, it's probably not the best person to walk by. And usually if they're in this type of situation, then you most likely want to cross the street, maybe go to a group, go somewhere lighted where a lot of people are. After that, if you see their intent, you want to check their hands as well. So if they're holding a dangerous object like a broken bottle, a knife, things like that, then it's probably a very dangerous person to be around. As well as that, if they also have their hands in a fist, fist can show us signs of aggression, which is another really major point to watch out for. Then after you check their face, hands, you want to check their face one more time. One point is that when you check their face this time, you want to avoid any eye contact, but also make sure to check if they're looking at you. If they're looking at you, that's a major sign that this might be a dangerous situation. So you want to back out, move away, things like that. But just then again, just remember FHF, face, hands, face, and this will help you diagnose the situation. And even if you do get the diagnosis wrong, then it's better safe than sorry. It's better to be in a safe area where nothing can happen than to be approaching a dangerous situation. Okay, so now also how to de-escalate a situation if it does come to this. So before we really do anything, we just want to remind you guys that you always want to hopefully avoid any dangerous situations, and there are some ways to do it. But if you ever do get in a situation, then there are some ways for you to help de-escalate it before you actually have to like throw a punch or throw any attacks. So the first one is keeping your chin up. So when you're walking the street, especially alone, you want to make sure you keep your chin up, looking at your surroundings. Make sure you're not looking at your feet or where you're walking directly on the floor. But also keeping your chin up shows that you have confidence and you're energetic, and it's less likely for someone to come at you like this. The second thing is to keep your hands up with your palms open. So as you can see in the image on the right here, you can see that their hands are open, and this is really important for two reasons. The first reason that their hands are open is one, it shows that you're not aggressive. So as you remember I said before, if you see someone with a fist, it shows aggression. And so if someone's coming at you as well and they see you with a fist, it shows that you're ready to fight, which may not be the best outcome that you want. So one, you want to keep your hands open so that way you can show that you don't want to fight. The second thing is that when you keep your hands open, it can actually help you defend as well. So we'll be going over today a little bit more about how you can actually defend with your hands open. But just remember, keep your hands open should always be your main way to go through. Second thing is, oh sorry, your third thing is that keep your eyes open. So this is not really the metaphorical, like keeping your eyes open. It means physically keep your eyes open. You want to show that you're energetic, that you're awake, because then it shows that you don't want to be messed with. So just remember, keep your eyes open, look where you're going. It's really important to do, especially if you're walking alone. Fourth is eye contact. So this is a give or take situation, and it depends on what situation you're in. But say someone is approaching on the street and you haven't really made any contact with them, avoid all eye contact. This is a time when you want to just walk by them or turn around, cross the street, things like that. So remember, eye contact then is really bad and you do not want to make any eye contact. The same goes as if you're driving in a car, you don't want to make eye contact with another driver because you don't know what's going on in their mind as well. But the other side of this point is that if someone does approach you and they made contact, they said things to you, the best thing for you to do is make eye contact with them and stand your ground. So if it comes to the point where you have to stand your ground, make sure you make solid eye contact with them to show that you're prepared to do what's necessary to keep yourself safe and you're less likely to be attacked. Finally, keep your chest up and shoulders down. This basically goes back to the point about keeping your chin up because this also shows that you have confidence and you're prepared to get in a fight if you need to, and that you're prepared to defend yourself. And this usually can help prevent any attacks from happening as well. And then the next point is about how to throw a punch. So I think a lot of people have this misidea that you want to throw a right hook straight at someone's face, you'll knock them out. Sure, it could happen. It works in a lot of like sports like boxing, but in a self-defense situation, it's probably not the best bet. So what you want to aim for are the red targets, as you can see in the image here, in your face in the lower areas, and then the secondary targets are the blue targets. So just to go over each point, the upper targets and the upper red targets are your more face, like your nose, your eyes, and your throat. For these, you want to attack with an open fist or open strike. So for your eyes, you want to maybe gouge out with your fingers. That's really important. For the nose, you want to hit with your palm with an upper strike to the nose. And for the neck, you want to have like a choking strike right into the neck. Why I tell you guys not to punch so much so is that your fist has a lot of tiny bones, and compared to the bigger bones in people's faces, you're more likely just to shatter your fist, which is a really bad outcome, especially if you need your fist for the rest of the your self-defense there. So just remember, on the face, have your open hand. For the chest, this is the part where you want to have a strong fist. It's harder to do as much damage with the punch on the middle of the body, which is why there are blue secondary targets. But if you are having to punch to the body, make sure you aim for the joints, such as the elbow or shoulder. Or you can also punch them straight in the middle of the chest to knock the air out of them. We'll be going over again today one bear hug technique where you can turn that into a punch to the chest to try to move them away or knock the air out of them. Also, when you're throwing a punch, one thing to remember is that always keep your thumb on the outside of your fingers like this. Don't keep it on inside and don't put it on the top. If you put it on the top or inside, you're more likely to rip the ligament on your in your fist. So make sure you always keep it on the top of your three fingers right here in the front of them. The next point is the lower red targets. These are like your groin area or into your knees or in quads area. So just remember, these parts you don't want to bend down and punch or strike. You want to use your feet or legs to attack these areas, such as your knees or your heel. One thing to remember is that don't throw a full kick. I know, like in martial arts, you learn how to kick like all the way to the head level. That's not a good situation to do it in self-defense. You want to throw quick, small strikes. So if you're close to them, use your knee especially, and use your heel for the lower attack, so they can't grab your leg. So specific situation you can see here is we'll go over right now is that in the first situation in the top left corner, if someone has their hands over you, as I said before, you want to aim for the joints. So in this situation, they show depicting it with the open hand. You can also strike with the closed hand as well. So just remember, you want to strike in the lower part underneath their arm, since there's a lot of nerve endings there, and it'll most likely move them back, as you can see into the second image. Once you move them back with that, you want to continue to punch into that area so you can hit the side of the pectoral muscle, which again has a lot of nerve endings there as well, which will continue to move them back away from you. Following that, you want to aim for the head now to really knock them out or completely move them out away from you so you can take a run. And the best place to hit this is in the jaw. This is like the one part where it's best to hit with the fist, because this muscle in the jaw will knock them out if you hit strong enough. So there's about 5 different parts in your jaw where you can knock someone out. So aim for those parts such as the chin or the side of the jaw here. Following that, if you want to also use your head to finalize the blow or use an elbow or shoulder, these are also the strongest parts of your body. So try to aim again for those knockout points. Cool. Now that we went over like some speaking points about self-defense, let's actually go over some real techniques. So for this part, if you guys want to actually turn your cameras on so we can go over these techniques, that'll be great. Again, if you guys have any questions so far, we can go over anything right now. But if you guys are good to go, let's turn the cameras on. We can get started. Cool. So the first technique that we'll be going over is an open-handed technique. And this basically means that if someone has grabbed you on the hand, we're going to work on how to get out of that grab in the safest and fastest way possible. So this usually can lead into other attacks later on, but the first thing you want to focus on is that if someone were to grab your hand, just imagine if someone were grabbing your hand the same side, all you want to do is a hello and goodbye. So what this means is that you want to bring your hand up towards you, as you can see here, and then you want to push out. So just swift motion in and then push out using the side of your arm here. So if we were to do it a little bit closer, you can see if their hand is holding it like this, you want to go in and then push out here. You can do the same thing on both sides, and then we'll also talk about how you can do both at the same time. So you can just quickly turn and out. You don't have to really use your entire body for this technique, but you want to just use a quick turn so that they can't really adjust their grip and grab you any harder. Cool, so does that make sense for everyone so far? Just give me a thumbs up so I can know we're on the right track here. Cool. So if you guys understand that point, it's pretty simple here. Then we can also try it with both hands. So you can say someone is grabbing you with both hands here. You want to do the same thing, the hello, goodbye. You're going to grab both their arms. So if you guys want to try this just a couple times, so hello, goodbye, and you want to turn and try to grab both their arms here. So just try it here, hello, goodbye. Make sure if you grab, you want to make sure you're grabbing onto their wrist, not their hands, because you can slip their hands. So make sure you try to grab onto their wrist as tight as you can. Cool. If you guys get this part down, then from here, the best thing to do is another knee strike, as we talked about, to the red areas in the lower area. Or if you want, you can also strike out to the upper chest with your knee. So these are, again, all valid strikes. If you also want to use your head for a head bump, that also works as well. But again, so just hello, goodbye, strike. Cool. So good? All good so far? Yep. Cool. From here, the next technique we're going to go over is another technique very similar to this. It's more of a way to get out of a wrist grab. Let me pull up the image. So this is the technique, is that you want to try to turn your wrist and pull it out of any person's grab. So this is another really effective way to get out of a grab really quick if you don't want to do the hello goodbye as well. Again, it all depends on the situation. If you feel like someone's grabbing you way too tight for the hello goodbye, then this is a more effective technique. It might hurt your wrist to turn in their grab, but again, in a self-defense situation, this is what you want to work on. So for this technique, what you're going to be doing is trying to turn your wrist so that way your hand, the thin part of your hand is facing their thumb. So this way it can slide out as fast as possible, because if your back of your palm or even your upper palm is facing your thumb, they can still hold onto you much tighter. So try to turn your wrist so that way the side of your palm is there and you can slide out of it much faster. You guys can try this on your own hand a couple times and you'll feel the difference between each grab and how you can slide out of only one of them. Cool. Once you guys try that out a couple times, then I want you guys to also practice turning with your arm, because we'll be using this technique a little bit later on. So I want to make sure you guys get this part down. So just imagine someone's grabbing you. You want to turn your hand and pull it across away from them as fast as you can. So here, turn, pull back. If they're a really big opponent, most likely they are against you, then you want to try to use your core or your hip muscles and turn away from them even faster so you can really pull away, because sometimes it can grab really tight. So try to turn and pull as fast as you can away. So if you guys can see, I'm trying to not just use my arm, because your arm most likely will not win. You want to keep your arm tight and strong, and you want to use your hips and turn with your entire body away from the person attacking you. Okay. Does that make sense with everyone so far? So just turn and pull. Cool. Okay, once we get this part down, we can move on to the little more difficult techniques. So these are the simple parts. So the next technique that we'll be going over is a hair grab. So Crystal, if you want to take it away with this part.
So the hair grab is for anyone, even if you don't have long hair. So what we're going to do is pretend someone's grabbing your hair, from the top first. So we're gonna take both our hands and we're gonna like squeeze the other person's hand that's grabbing you to your head. Squeeze it, then we're gonna drop down, take a step forward, and just twist out like that. So as you can imagine, the other person who's grabbing your head, their wrist will be turned in an awkward direction because we have control here. So grab it, grab their hand, take it like really tight to your head, step forward and twist in either direction all the way around. So let's practice that a few times. Practice that on your own, right? Someone's grabbing your hair, grab their hand to your head, step forward and twist. Yep, just keep practicing a little bit more. Yep, there you go.
Make sure you guys try to do a full 360 or more so we can really turn their arm off. Because if you try this with someone, you'll see how really quickly you can really dislocate their shoulder if you keep going, which is what your goal is to do. But if you only do like a small 180, you'll only just turn their arm a little bit. So try to do a full 360 if you guys can.
Right, and try to keep your shoulders in so that if you're protecting your own face from any other punches that the person may be putting against you. So remember, grab it to your head, elbows in, step down, and twist up. Good. Practice that a few more times. And then what to do if they're grabbing, see, my hair's in a ponytail. What if they're grabbing from behind me? Same thing. Grab their hands, hold it tight to your head, step down, and same thing, step forward this time because they'll be coming from behind you, and just twist all the way up. Twist in like a 360. So same thing, grab their hands tight to your head, step forward, twist in either direction. And they'll most likely loosen their grip because their arm will be like that. So once they loosen their grip, just take off in the other direction. Does that make sense to everyone? Good?
Cool. Again, does anyone have any questions about anything we go over before we continue on? Because each technique still gets a little bit harder, so make sure you guys got these foundations down. So everyone's good? Yeah, kind of. Thumbs up? No? Cool. Cool. The next technique we'll be going over is called a bear hug. So I feel that a lot of people probably have heard of a bear hug before when someone comes up around you. Your friends probably do this to you a lot. But for this technique, there's actually a way to get out of this. It does involve a lot of different parts. So make sure we'll break it down one by one and put it all together. So the first part is that say someone is coming and holding around you. They're most likely gripping their hands like this, or they're holding onto themselves depending on how big they are. So most likely your hands are stuck by your side. So this is what you're most likely here. And your first goal is to spread your legs as far as you can and keeping a sturdy stance. This will help prevent for you getting pulled backwards or moved around. So your first goal from here is just to move your legs out as far as you can. Okay. If you feel your leg muscles tensing up, that's what you want to feel. So think of like a wide squat, and you want to squat down, not completely down, but like a 45-degree angle between here. So you want to just go squat down right here, and you want to keep your arms by your side because they're holding onto you. Okay, so just try that a couple times. So from here, you're going to go quick and squat. Okay, and try a couple times on both sides because you can do the same thing with both sides, stepping out. So just squat. Make sure the goal of this is to do it quick, because the faster you do this, the faster they can't react to this. So you want to go quick and squat out. Okay. Once you squat out, the next thing your goal is to do is to try to loosen up their hands. So from here, since they're holding onto your arms, probably right above your elbow or on your elbow, your goal is to shoot your arms out as far as you can. This will give you room to breathe and to open up their arm grab. So again, from here, step out, open up. Okay, so just open your arm. You want to go from here. If you need to load up a little bit of power, you can cross it over a little bit, but then you want to shoot out as hard as you can. So I feel like a lot of people have heard that the strike, you're trying to strike them behind you, it won't work. I'm telling you right now, I've done this technique with people and it doesn't work really to strike behind you like this. So your goal is just to open up your grab right now. Okay, so from here, step out and open. If you can, if you get comfortable doing this, you can also try to do that at the same time and step out and open at the same time, just like this. Okay, and remember, you want to open outwards, not backwards, because if you can see the difference, when I open backwards, their arms are still tight. If I open this way, their arms are now loosened more. So try to open sideways, not back. So sideways. Okay, think of it, if you see the side diagonal like this, my shoulders and arms are basically almost in a line. So it should be almost like a line from my elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow. Okay, let's try a couple times, just 3 more times. So from here, step out and shoot out. Okay, same thing on the other side. Ready and shoot out. Okay, one more time and shoot out. Cool. From there, once we learn this part by stepping out and shooting out, your next goal is to try to get their head away from you. So from here, you just want to use your head, a little bit of back muscles to just use your back of your head to hit onto their nose. This will most likely really loosen up their grip if it's not loosened up already. And your goal is just to hit back. If doing this already moved them back enough, you may not even need to use your head or you may not be able to reach them already. But if they are still close to you, then your next goal is just to use your head and hit back. So step out and hit back with your head. Again, make sure you're not breaking your neck doing this or like breaking your back. You just want to have a quick, like a head knock back onto their nose. Okay, so again, step out, hit back. Okay, step out, hit back. Okay, from here, now that we've learned this basic part, there's two different ways you can go about this next part. The first part is if they're a little bit of like a similar size as you, then you can try to throw them. The second way is just a complete punch. So the first way we'll go over is the throw. So from here, you're going to step out, hit. You're going to want to turn around. So you want to just keep your feet planted. Remember, your feet want to stay on the ground the entire time. And you want to keep your chest up. So remember we told you about the chest, the shoulders up, chest up, shoulders down. You want to make sure this is true about this part as well. So chest up, shoulders down. From here, you're going to turn around just with your hips facing towards them, almost like you're facing the side, but you want to look at them. You're going to grab onto their arm, shoulder, whatever you can grab here, and you just want to rip as hard as you can, turning as fast around as you can. So if you remember the hand release, how we turned with our entire body, it's the same idea. We're going to grab onto them, and you want to turn as fast as you can. If you can even, you want to try to maybe move your hips from a squat like this, where you're loading up, and you want to twist into almost like a lunge on the other side. Because remember, for you, you're moving almost 180 degrees. For them, they're going to move like 240 degrees all the way around your body to go from the back to the other side. So again, you want to step out, head knock, turn, grab, and twist. Okay, so one more time, try the other side this time because you want to make sure you can do everything on both sides. You're going to step out, you head knock, turn around, grab, and twist. Make sure if you're stepping out with your left leg, you're grabbing on your right. If you step out with your right leg, you're grabbing on your left. So make sure you get the sides correct. Cool. Everyone good so far with this first way? Thumbs up. Yeah. Cool. The next way we'll go over is if they are a bigger person, you can't really turn them over, then you should also make the decision to just throw a punch. So same idea, you're going to step out, open up, head knock, and from here, this is the only time really where I'm going to tell you guys to move a sturdy stance, but you're going to step back, like straight back behind you, and you're just going to use your arm and you're going to throw a solid punch straight at that blue target, straight in the center. So again, step out, head knock, move this leg, and at the same time, you want to just turn straight into the chest. So you're loading up your arm 240-degree turn from here to around. So even if you don't have the strongest arm muscles, you don't have the really strong shoulders muscles, this punch will most likely knock them back a good amount. So again, step out, open up, head knock, step back, load up, and turn. So if, for example, if someone was coming at you, your speed should be straight here and turn. That's the speed you're aiming for, but slowly build up to go step out, open up, head knock, step back, turn, and strike. Cool. Any questions so far on this 2 different ways for bear hug? Kind of, no? Cool. One thing I also want to add for bear hug is that most likely the person who's attacking you is probably not trying to like hurt you really. They're trying to drag you. So that's why it's really important that you want to keep a sturdy stance. So that's like what I mean by not hurt you is mean like sometimes I want to choke you out. This technique is more for a pull, like they're trying to pull you away. So by you making that sturdy stance to the side and their force pulling you back, you want to make sure you're leaning forward a little bit as well, so that you don't get pulled back straight away. So when you're stepping out, make sure you're also leaning forward a little bit so they can't pull you back right away. Okay. Also, if they do manage to pull you back and like right away you don't get time to react, make sure that once you get 1 second, try to plant 1 foot at least, and you can turn around as well. So what I mean by this is, say your arms are here and they're pulling you back, just get 1 foot on the ground, plant it solid, and at least then you can turn into whatever stance and you're holding your ground now. And you can do the technique from whichever way. So even if you can't get it right away, try to plant 1 foot, then plant the other right after. Cool. Does that make sense to everyone so far? Kind of thumbs up? Sounds good. From here, we'll move on to our next technique. This is called an arm bar. This is a really common technique you can see in like a lot of MMA, different things like this. This arm bar we'll be doing from a standing position, and it's more of just a way to get out of a grab really quick. So I'll be using a stick to demonstrate what to do with the arm, but just to show you guys what it'd be looking like is if someone were to grab you on the same hand, you want to just let go the same way we worked on, where you're going to turn your hand, release. You want to grab onto their shoulder or side of their arm, and you're just going to turn them upwards. So their arm will be going from here to this. Okay? So now that we understand kind of what it looks like, we'll be going over the technique. So starting off, first thing you want to do is just practice the release. So again, turn and release. Turn and release. Make sure you're pulling this towards you. Don't go out because you're more likely to lose your balance. So just turn and release. Remember, use your core, use your hips to pull with you so we can really get out of this. Okay, so again, turn, release. Okay, once you get that part down, you also want to work on the grab with your other hand. So usually you don't want to grab the opponent, whoever's coming at you, but this is another one of the cases where you want to grab at them. So right when you let go of this hand, you want to grab with the other hand. So it's going to look like this. So make sure you don't cross over like this. I'm seeing some people cross like this. And make sure it's more of this hand's back, and you just want to grab onto where this hand was. So it's like this. So this hand, you want to get out of that situation as fast as you can because you have to use it for the next part later. So here, switch. Remember, you're aiming for the wrist, not elbow or hand, wrist. So the wrist is really important because if you control the wrist, you kind of control the elbow and what the hand do. So make sure you grab straight at the wrist. Again, this is opposite hand, opposite. So basically what that means is if they were to grab you straight with their right hand on your left hand, that same hand, opposite would be right hand on right hand. So you're going across your body. So what you're doing is from the same hand grab, you're going to switch and grab them with opposite hand. Does that make sense? That idea of same hand, opposite hand? Yeah, cool. So after you do this, you're going to grab their hand. What you're going to do is you want to get this hand, as I said, from over here, bring it out all the way to the side, and you want to grab onto their shoulder. So I'll be using this so you guys can see what I mean. This is their arm. From here, grabbing their arm, you want to get out and you want to grab onto their shoulder or this upper portion of their arm. Make sure you're not coming in from the top grab. You want to come from bottom grab, and you want to be using this palm up against here because it's going to be important because you have to turn them over. So you're going to be turning their hand like this. So just remember that this hand's grabbing here. Their shoulder's probably looking up here. So from here, grab from under with your palm. Okay? You don't have to
Can you
really
show it?
hold.
Sorry, can you show us
Oh,
like which part of your shoulder are you talking about? Like up here or like down here?
yeah. So when you grab onto their arm, you're most likely pushing up against this part right here. So you're gonna be pushing up here. Does that make sense? Kind of like can't really show you really, but this is the target area. Anywhere really works. Not up on the shoulder exactly, but from the shoulder to the elbow, any part here works. Cool.
Cool, thank you.
Yep. So again, one more time, we'll break it down from the beginning. From here, they're grabbing onto you, switch, hand out, grab onto that shoulder area. And from here, this is the next really important part, is that you want to switch the hand. So this hand right now where you're holding their wrist is going to bring it up, and the hand with the shoulder is going to turn down. So this opposite motion is what really throws them off, and it's hard for them to defend against. And it's what's going to allow them to look like this in the end. So one more time, once you switch the hand, grab the shoulder. This palm, with the hand holding onto the wrist right here, it's going to turn up, and your elbow can come up. That's fine as well. And the hand with the shoulder is going to turn down. Okay. From here, turn down, pull up. Turn down, pull up. And once you get in a faster motion, what it should look like is here, up, and turn. So as you saw, when I did this, I used my feet as well, so I didn't stay in the same place. So now we'll work on the foot motions of this. So first part, simple, right? You want to cross and step back a little bit if you need to, or just use your hips and turn. Then you want to grab from here onto the shoulders. Your hips don't really have to move. Your feet can stay planted. But once you want to get this turning motion, you want to pull them with you. So you can't just turn where they are. You want to pull them all the way around your body and turn them with you so they can really get off their balance and they'll fall over. So this is a really important idea that they have to fall over for this technique to work. So try to pull them with you and drag them a little bit just so they can lose their balance and almost fall over on their chest. Okay. Try the same thing on the other side. So they're grabbing the same hand, same hand here. You want to switch, shoulder, and then pull this hand up, and the shoulder down. So here and turn. Here, turn. Okay, so again, what their hand, from their perspective, will be from here, the grabbing. Now you grab the opposite hand, and then you're coming up with your shoulder, and you're turning them like this. So you see how I'm almost falling over is what your goal should be to make them fall over. Once you get them in this arm bar right here, you can do a lot of things to them. You can knee them, strain the chest, you can kick them, you can even trip them over. The easiest thing is you have complete control over their turn, is that you can just bring them to the floor. You can just, from here, you can just slowly bring them down to the floor. If it's someone you know and say they're drunk or whatever, you can bring them down to the floor, safely place them down. You can back away. You can keep your knee on them to keep them down, call for help, whatever you need to do, and you can safely put them down. If you need to attack them, you can use your knee, you can use your elbow, whatever you need to do to assess the situation. You can do different routes. Does that make sense, the last part about what to do afterwards? Kind of? Yeah, perfect. Cool. If you guys can kind of tell, different parts of the self-defense kind of build on each other. So the idea of the strikes to different parts of the body kind of build up when you're doing these techniques. The different techniques of like slipped outs here, or even the hello goodbye will come in handy for this next part. So just remember, these different techniques can each come in handy for different future self-defense applications. Cool. Okay, the final one we'll be going over today is a little bit more complicated. a lot of footwork techniques. So just we'll break it up first with the hands, then we'll go over the feet after that. Okay, for this, it's there's no real name for this technique, but what you're basically doing is protecting against a punch or a grab, and you're going to basically be turning them all the way around and then dropping them to the floor. So this is a really simple technique if you get it down, and it can be really easy to take down someone even like twice your size. So the first part you want to be focusing on is that we'll be doing from a punch, is that your goal is to get the punch out of your face. So in martial arts, there's a lot of like knife hand strikes. And so this is a similar part where you want to make like a knife with your hand, and you're going to be blocking with this outer portion of your hand, which is the strongest part right here, since the bone runs from your pinky all the way to your wrist. So you're going to be striking with this part of your arm, and you're going to block out. If you want to follow the leg movement, it's just a step out or step forward. Either way works. Your goal is just to get the punch coming towards your face out of your way. So just punch and move. Okay, if you need to also turn this into like a fist block, that's also fine as long as you open up your fist later on. But again, remember we said you want to try to keep open palms for this entire time. So it's also helpful just to go from open palm to a block. Okay, so just try that a couple times. Just go quick and just block. It's a lot harder to assess a punch coming at you. It'll take time to practice like blocking a punch coming at you right away. But if you do see someone coming like loading up for a punch, just step out of the way. It helps to step out of the way even if your block misses. So just step out of the way, get out of the punch direction. Okay, so just so you guys can see what I mean with the punch, is that if their punch is coming in, you want to block out of the way, just like this. Cool. From here, once you block their punch out of your way, you want to grab onto the back of their neck with your hand. So this is just a simple grab, just like this. You're going to grab onto the back of their neck right here. So just block, step into a grab. So block, step into the grab. Block, step into the grab. And the one part that you want to also work on is that when you're stepping into that grab to their neck, you want to also at the same time grab onto their wrist. So, or to be honest, any part of their arm will also work to grab onto. So once you block here, you want to grab onto their arm or hand or wrist, whatever you can grab onto right away, and step into the grab onto the back of their neck. Okay, so one more time, practice on both sides. We can do this right away. So block, grab, step. So block, grab, step. Okay, all together. Block,
Wait, are we
grab,
grabbing
step.
your neck with this? Sorry. Are we grabbing with the same hand that we blocked the punch with, or the other hand?
So you're grabbing the neck with the other hand. So this hand that's not really doing anything over here is just like coming all the way around to grab the neck. The hand blocking the punch is going to grab their arm. Okay, so if this was their arm, and say, imagining a neck right here, when you block this out and grab, you're going to step across and grab onto their neck here. Does that answer your question, kind of? Yeah? Cool. So once you do this technique where you're blocking, grabbing, and stepping forward into their neck, your next goal is to try to get them disoriented and falling over. So just like this other arm bar where you're turning them over, similar idea where you're going to be grabbing onto their wrist, bringing it to your waist or belt level, whatever you have here, and you're going to be here, grab onto their arm, and you're going to turn them all the way over. So almost like you're dancing with them, you're going to do like almost a 360-degree turn. From your left leg's going to be forward. You want to move your right leg and spin them all the way around. So face the front, then your left leg should be forward, you're facing the front. Move your right leg all the way behind you, all the way to the front, so that way your right leg's forward. Okay? One more time, I'll break that down. So block, grab, step forward with your left leg, grabbing the neck, move your right leg all the way around, turning them around, keeping their hand by your waist until you get to the front. If they're really big and you can't get them off right away, you can keep them spinning as long as you need to do. That doesn't matter. The spin, as long as they're off balance, is what's really important. Again, try to make sure you're staying in your own area. So imagine you're in a little circle and you can't really move out of that circle, but they have to spin all the way around you. So try to stay as small of a circle as you can and just spin them around. Okay? Try this a couple times. We'll break it down one more time. So block, grab the neck, spin around. So block, grab the arm, grab the neck, spin around. Okay? Once you get this part down, block, grab, neck, spin around. This next part is kind of a little bit dangerous if it's someone for the defender. So make sure if you want to be careful with the person, you want to keep a hand behind their back. But for this part, all you're going to be doing is once you spin them around, the hand that was grabbing their arm is going to let go, and you're going to bring it up against their chest from here. Sorry, I'm going to do it from this way. You're going to bring the arm that's holding onto their wrist up against their chest like this. You bring them up, and then you're going to turn your arm over. So right now your hand, the part that was protected from the punch is going up, but then from there you're going to turn using your entire shoulder almost, drop them to the floor. So this will definitely knock them out when they hit the floor. So really be careful if you're doing this with someone who you know, and you be careful of their safety. Keep a hand behind their back when you're bringing them down to lightly place them on the floor. Otherwise, this could be a fatal move if you just drop them to the floor. Okay, so again, one more time, go nice and slow. Block, grab, step forward, grab the neck, turn 360 degrees. From here, switch up, bring your arm up against their chest, just like this. Bring them up, and then drop them down. When you drop them down, if you want to turn a little bit more and bring them down, it also works. If you don't want to drop them down linear, that also is fine. Whatever works in that situation is what you need to follow through with. The biggest thing is you always want to continue whatever technique you're doing. Don't stop halfway through in any part. So for example, say you're blocking here and you kind of get stuck, just keep spinning. Just keep spinning as long as you need and then bring them down. Because most likely, whatever you're doing is either saving you time or it's disorienting them for you to think about your next step. So just keep doing whatever you're doing until you can figure out what the next part is going to be for you. Cool? Yeah? Kind of? Okay. We'll review over this one more time before we go over all the techniques one last time, and then we'll call it a day. So one more time for this technique, you're going to block out, grab onto their wrist, other hand's going to come around, grab onto their neck, turning them around. And then you're going to switch up, bring up against their chest, and push them down to the floor. One more time, block, grab, neck, spin, grab, up, down. Okay, try with the other side if you haven't done so yet. Same thing, block, grab, neck, spin, up, and down. Okay, just try working on the spinning motion. Just spin quick and then down. Then spin quick and then down. Make sure you don't sacrifice the techniques for your speed, because again, techniques are what's important. So like, don't forget to grab the neck because you're going fast. So make sure you take it slow until you can get comfortable grabbing everything and then slowly bring them down. If the opponent has like hair or something in the way which you can't really grab onto the neck well, you can also just really use your hand against their back and push the upper back as well, or whatever you can really grab nearest the neck will also work as well. So if they're really coming at you and you can't really grab their neck, you can only get hair, you just push against their neck and push that with you. Okay, does that make sense to everyone about this part so far? Cool. Is there any questions you guys have about any technique that we've been going over? I can go over them right now. No? Cool. So just then we'll go over all the techniques we've been going over today, just so we can finish up. So again, first technique we went over was the hello goodbye. So someone grabs your wrist, you're just going to bring it up and out, and out. Hello, goodbye. And then again, we told you how you can use this technique for other things as well. So once you get comfortable, you can use this technique, hello, goodbye, then switch up the hand, then go into the last technique we worked on. So the same hello, goodbye from a wrist grab can become that same arm spinning around into the floor. So it doesn't matter what way you start off, it's just the techniques can all blend together. Okay. Second thing is the hello, goodbye for the both hands. So hello, goodbye, grab, knee, head bunt, pull them back, whatever you need to do. So hello, goodbye, grab, then attack. Okay. Third thing, the wrist release. So just turn your hand and pull it out. Turn your hand, pull it out. Make sure you work on turning your hand and make that quick. So don't turn and pull at the same time, so it won't turn in time, but you want to turn and then pull right away. So turn and pull. Turn and pull. Okay. Fourth thing we went over today was the hair grab, as Crystal went over. So we went from the hair grab, you want to just turn 360 degrees, or as fast or as many turns as you can get. So make sure you're grabbing both hands onto their hands so you can hold where it is and then turn it all the way away. Okay, and then remember, the faster you turn, the more turns you can get, the better it is for you and the worse it is for the opponent. So keep working on that. Try to spin as fast as you can and get out of there as quickly as you can. If they're still holding onto your hair, try to just keep spinning until their arm, it can break, and most likely they'll let go at that point. The next technique we went over was the bear hug. Someone have a question or no? Okay. The next technique we went over was the bear hug. So if someone does come with the bear hug for you, you want to just hit out. Remember, you want to hit with your head, grab onto them and turn, or step out, open up, hit with your head, step back, and punch. So either technique works for the step out, hit head, grab and turn, or step back and punch. Okay, after that, we went over the arm bar, where we went from if someone were to grab your same hand, you're going to switch with that hand release. You're going to grab onto their upper arm right here. You're going to bring that arm down and their wrist up. So arm down, wrist up, and then pull them wherever you need to do, hit them, pull them to the floor, whatever end you need to do with them. Okay, then the final technique we went over was that spin, where you go from a block, get out of the way, step forward, grab the neck, spin them around 360, bring them up, and then drop them to the floor. Okay, cool. I think that's about all the techniques we went over today. That's about all the time we also have. Does anyone have any questions they have about any techniques we went over? Does anyone have any questions about any self-defense situations, examples that we can also go over what the best what you can do in those situations? No?
Do you have like a description of these things so I don't forget that you could email out or something?
Yeah, I'll send out the meeting recording so you guys can watch that. Also, you probably look up a lot of these things online. You can probably find a video of them as well. And then also, again, self-defense classes also are a great way to do it. Also, the martial arts club, we usually go over self-defense every other week or whenever we have meetings. So if you also want to come for those meetings as well to learn a little bit more, you guys can just send me an email, send you the Zoom link. You guys can join for those days. Okay, cool. Any other questions you guys have? No? Okay, cool. Thank you all for coming today. If you guys have any questions, you guys can stay back and ask me. Otherwise, you guys can send me an email, whatever you guys need to do. I'll send out the slides we went over and the meeting recordings for today. Sounds good? Cool. Thanks, guys.